Hey everybody, my name's Austin Hass, and today I'd like to give you a little review on this Prologix 3-in-1 Russ Miller signature practice pad. So I've had this particular pad for about 4 years. I was looking at their website, and if you don't know Prologix, great practice pad company, all made in the USA, I believe in Ohio. And it looks like they've made some modifications to this design since I bought mine, but the playing surfaces are the same. So we'll at least get to talk about that, and that'll be pretty accurate to what they're offering now. So the allure of this pad is that it's a 3-in-1 design, or 3 pads in one. Really 4 actually. Because you have this brush surface, which is just a piece of plastic, right? You have this, what they call their VST light gray light resistance surface, and this is just, fabric and some rubber or foam or something like that. It's squishy. Then you have the green surface, which is like your typical rubber practice pad feel, comparable to like an Evans Real Feel pad. And then they claim that this bottom side as well is a practice surface that you can play on. So really getting like 4 different playing options on a pretty good sized pad. So to talk about the design a bit, it's a 13-inch pad, meaning the playing surface is 13 inches. I believe the full diameter, from the edge to edge on the wood is 14 inches. So it's as big as a snare drum, which comes into play in a bit. I'll kind of show you that. So large playing surface. You've got the rubber on the bottom. You can see these notches cut out, and that's for your snare basket receiver. So you can put those little rubber bits in there. And I have found that those help a lot with reducing the noise transfer from the pad into the floor. If you put this in a snare basket, I've put the pad in the basket before where it's the hooks are going around the edge like this, because it's more secure. You can just pick it up and go. Where if you have it just in these notches, if you want to pick up the pad, you got to pick up from the stand, because otherwise the pad's going to slip out. And I will show you shortly why that's a big problem, and probably why they've changed the design of the pad. So you got those notches. You have this notch here milled out as well, which I'll explain what that is. We have what they call their Polytech rim. It's just a hard rubber rim, so you can practice rim shots. And then, of course, the green, rubber surface. So I'll kind of give you a little demonstration of all the sounds here. And then I'll also kind of talk about some of the issues I've had with the pad. Because there are some things which, again, is likely why the design has changed. So here's the green surface. So again, this is like comparable to your Evans Real Feel. I actually happen to have a little baby Real Feel here. So if I can show you the difference. Which actually there's really not much in terms of rebound. They feel very, very similar to each other. The sound is quite different because this is it MDF? I can't remember. It's a very solid little piece of wood. So you get a more dead, thuddy sound. Where on this pad, we have this nice birch base. So the pad actually has a very minor bit of resonance, or definitely more than a Real Feel, which is pretty interesting. So let me just play a little bit on here for you, so you can hear what this surface sounds like. Cool. So just standard run-of-the-mill pad. Feels great. It's nice to have all this real estate, because you do get a tone difference on this pad from the center to the edge. It's got a little bit more, like I said, that resonance at the edge here, where in the middle it's a lot more dead. Of course, you can practice rim shots, which is nice. Again, this pad is trying to, be emulating a drum set snare, or maybe not a concert snare drum as well. Not really trying to emulate a marching snare drum, at least with these top surfaces. That's not to say you can't use it for that. It's more than capable. You know, again, it's like the Evans Real Feel kind of feel. So, but typically a more marching style pad, which Prologix offers some, typically has a bit more of a harder surface, where this has a little more give, and it does feel similar to like a drum set snare. So that's the green surface. Let me put the gray light resistance. So again, this isn't going to make it feel like, you know, like their blackout pad, or like a reflex pad where it's just like all the rebound is sucked away. But if I compare the two, here's the green surface, here's the gray. Right, so you lose a good bit, but that's on purpose. The other thing is this surface is quieter to play on, which might not be translating through the camera, unfortunately. But you know, I live in an apartment, and it's definitely noticeable in here, especially if you're in another room and practicing. You hear this way less. And again, you can hear that tonal change from the edge to the center. You know, it kind of gets higher out here and then fuller in the center. And you can still hit rim shots. So I actually probably use this one the most, just because A, it's quieter, but I feel like I get a little bit of resistance, which then when I sit behind a real kit, it just feels a lot more effortless to play, in my opinion. So then the last surface is the brush surface, and this is kind of the big selling point, I think, because there aren't a lot of brush practice pads, and I know I've seen people use like cardboard boxes, or they'll cut out an old drum head and practice on that, and that's all good and fine, but I mean, this is just more convenient, and this is a lot quieter than a real drum head. I'll actually show you here. So it just sits right in there in the rim. And I did forget to mention, these all have these little notches cut out, so they're easy to just pull in and out. But here's the brush surface. Right, so it's pretty quiet. If I compare that to like a normal drum head, you know, here's a remote coated ambassador. Right, so pretty loud. Right, so yeah, it's just a little bit quieter. Again, more convenient. You can just leave this out and pick up the brushes and play a little bit. That's great. Now, since I have that drum over here, let me show you part of the design of this pad is that you can fit it on a snare drum directly and get snare response. So let me undo this really quick so I can fit this drum in here. And I've got a Mapex Razor 14x5 maple snare drum right here. So I love this drum. It's very versatile. Sounds great, but as you can see, remember that notch I talked about here? You can just set that right on there, and it's on the rim. So it sets on the rim. I'm going to take this out, and the gray one, so you can hear. Check this out. So you actually get snare response, and you can kind of play rolls, and you can hear the buzz, which is really cool. Again, on this surface, a little bit deader. The rim shots are pretty cutting on the snare drum, so just be mindful of that. And then, of course, the brush surface, which I don't really notice a difference with this on the snare drum. Even when you strike it, you don't really hear the snare buzz. So it's more ideal for, like for example, I like to practice on a practice pad kit once in a while just because of that. It's dead, typically more resistance, which is great. So I'll use like the Prologix Blue Lightning as a rack tom, blackout pad as a floor tom, and then I'll throw this on a snare drum so I can get that tonal difference and kind of get a more authentic experience when I'm playing on it. And I'll use like the thunder kick as well and all that stuff, and it makes practicing on a practice pad kit a little more fun than just hearing articulation and no actual drum sounds. So all in all, I really like this pad. There are a couple things that I have an issue with. So number one, it's heavy. It is a very heavy pad, so this is not, I would not recommend this if you're wanting something to travel with or take around with you a lot. I'd say it weighs probably 5 to 7 pounds maybe, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're throwing this in a backpack, it's not very convenient, because also the size is not convenient. 14 inches, that's a big, thing to throw in a bag or something. And then plus the weight, it takes up a lot of space. So it's kind of heavy, which is fine. This is my pad that I just keep at home and use mostly here. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, you know what? I forgot to show you the bottom surface here. So let me take this drum out and demonstrate this for you. So this is, like I said, they claim this is also a valid surface to play on. And so you kind of get more like 4 pads. I'm just going to put it on top here. So this is the recycled rubber. Has a lot harder of a feel. Again, the rebound, compared to a real feel. It's a little bit less. So this, I would say, would be your marching surface or something along those lines. I don't really like the feel of it though, because it's all these like little particles glued together. The playing feels very uneven. It's not smooth. And as a result of that, the sound is kind of uneven. You get these weird pops and things, and so I don't really like playing on this. Actually, I don't like playing on it at all, but they say it's a surface, so there's that. But for me, it's just the bass. And speaking of that, so another issue I have, I mentioned the pad's heavy, these notches, and again, this design's different now. You can look on their website, so take this with a grain of salt, but on this design, the notches where the snare basket receiver goes, actually pulled out. You can see there, it pulled out some of the rubber, because I think I had picked it up once. I thought I could just pick it up, and then it pulled that out. So it's partially on me, but also it probably shouldn't happen. Either it should be glued enough, or they should have maybe put some space between this. And it's just cosmetic. It doesn't affect the functionality of the pad, but it's just kind of annoying. So there's that. The other thing is this birch base. It's great, but it's gets dinged up very easily. They can feel all these rough spots all over the edge. And I don't take this pad out of my house. It just sits on a stand at home. So I don't know. Maybe my dog is chewing on it or something. Probably not. But yeah, not great for travel in that sense. It just isn't very robust. Where something like a real feel, you can just throw it in your bag and it's fine. It's those are like $40 pads. Where this, I believe, actually let me go check how much this costs. $119. This is a $119 pad. This I think was like 20 some dollars, but a 12-inch real feel is $40 to give you a comparison, like a 2-sided real feel. So for that amount of money, things like that shouldn't be happening, I feel. The other thing is when I got the pad, I bought this brand new, and this green rubber surface wasn't glued down properly. There was actually a part that was just peeling up, and Gorilla Glue to the rescue, and I was able to fix it. But again, for that kind of money, I don't think that's cool. I think that this should just come to you set, ready to go. It shouldn't wear as easy as I feel it has. I'm not saying it's poorly built, but maybe I just happen to get an off pad because of that. This obviously coming apart, this stuff chipping away. I think the wood's just gonna dent no matter what. But yeah, so that's my only gripe, or my only gripes about the pad. Again, there is a new design. I'm looking at it right now, and it's got a black something or other on it. It's not wood, or at least it doesn't visually look like wood. So I'm not sure. But having said that, one of my favorite pads for sure. I just think that for the price, it should have not had those little issues that I've had. But I'd highly recommend this, especially if you're building a practice pad drum set, or you're just really wanting something like to play on with students. This is a great option. Or if you need something that's got low volume, and again, of course, the brush playing, it just is phenomenal. It just feels good. It's quiet. Yeah, so let me know if you have one of these pads. I'd like to hear what you think about yours. And if you have any questions for me, you can always just leave a comment, and I try to reply to everybody. So just let me know what you want to know about this pad. And yeah, I appreciate you checking this out. Thanks.